The calls in Ukraine to be able to use weapons supplied by the UK, the US, and so on are disturbing because, if you sell something to somebody or if you give something to somebody, it's up to them to make the decision how they use it. And to have the sort of explicit approval by Western donors to take that military equipment and use it in Russia itself, like, for example, the call from Alexei Goncharenko, this Ukrainian MP, has warned that the war would end quicker if his country was handed more liberty to use the foreign-provided weapons to fight proactively to take the campaign into Russia itself. Ukraine has been relying on Western military equipment since the start of the war, since Putin invaded in 2022, but with provisos that these weapons mostly should only be used in a defensive fashion. And now we've seen British tanks involved in the Kursk advance, and Goncharenko says, watch the Russian reaction. For more than 1 week, the first time since the Second World War, Russian territory is occupied. And what is the reaction? Just some mumbling from Putin. I hope this will help us convince our allies that Ukraine is capable of big successes and to win this war. So finally our hands will be untied. It's specifically in this particular case, it's a request for the Storm Shadow missiles to be deployed deep into Russian territory. And Russia only understands one language, says Mr. Goncharenko, the language of force, and Ukraine has shown it now. I think Russia only understands one language, which is the language of surprise. When it comes to force, Russia is the bigger country. And he's called on true leadership. It's crucial that our partners remove the barriers that hinder us from weakening Russian positions in the way this war demands. And Zelensky has in turn also said that the constraints placed on the delivery of the weapons from the West have slowed down the Ukrainian advance. But I think one has to recognize who is the more powerful military power here, and it's surprise, not a show of strength, which will be efficacious. And a show of strength is posturing and an invitation to be pummeled. Nobody wants that, and nobody wants the war to escalate beyond the current confines of the conflict. We need to be talking. We need to be talking with Russia and with Ukraine, but we need to be talking particularly with Russia and talking about the things that we have done and can do. And in that, particularly, we are responsible for the sanctions. The sanctions are not an inflexible tool. The sanctions are there to be like a screw, to be turned up or to be turned down, depending on the Russian response. And I find it extraordinary that we're not sitting around a table discussing this on a daily basis.